Every single day, millions of people are drawn into the world of trading, lured by a single intoxicating promise: the promise of freedom. Financial freedom, geographical freedom, the freedom to escape the 9 to 5, to be your own boss, to live life on your own terms. They show you the lifestyle, the laptops by the pool, the ever-rising equity curves, the stories of ordinary people striking digital gold. It is the modern era's most compelling narrative of liberation. But this narrative is built on a dangerous omission, a selective truth. They show you the potential profit. They never show you the actual cost. I'm not talking about the money you risk. I'm not talking about the stop loss that gets hit. I'm talking about a far deeper, more personal invoice. An invoice that is quietly delivered to your body and your mind day after day until it can no longer be ignored. This isn't a conversation about indicators, strategies, or how to read a chart. This is a conversation about what happens to you while you're reading those charts. It's about the biological and psychological price of admission to the most high-stakes game on Earth. It's about the chronic anxiety, the cortisol flooding your system, the nights you spend staring at the ceiling, the slow erosion of your physical health, and the profound isolation of a journey that from the outside looks like pure freedom. For many, trading becomes a war fought on two fronts. The first is against the market. The second, and far more brutal, is against their own biology. This video is not designed to scare you away from the profession. It is designed to arm you for it. It is the survival guide they don't include in the trading courses. We are going to pull back the curtain, look directly at the hidden costs, and then build an actionable framework to protect your most valuable asset. It isn't your starting capital, it's you. Before we go any deeper into this, if this raw, honest conversation about the real side of trading is what you've been missing, then take 1 second to hit that subscribe button. We're building a community here dedicated to the whole truth of this profession, not just the highlight reel. Join us as we navigate this path together. We humans are biological machines, designed over millennia for a specific environment. Our bodies are built for survival. When faced with a threat, a predator on the savannah, our system floods with a powerful cocktail of hormones, primarily adrenaline and cortisol. This is the fight or flight response. Our heart rate skyrockets, our muscles tense, our focus narrows. It is a brilliant short-term survival mechanism. Now, consider the trader. You sit down at your desk. You open a position. You are now risking real money. To your ancient reptilian brain, that risk, the flashing red numbers, the potential for loss, is indistinguishable from a physical threat. It sees a predator, and so it pulls the alarm. It floods your system with cortisol. The problem is, the threat never leaves. A fighter pilot experiences extreme stress, but in short, acute bursts. A trader experiences a chronic low-grade version of that same stress for 8, 10, even 12 hours a day. You are not designed for this. Your body is being held in a perpetual state of fight or flight. This is the first item on the invoice: the tyranny of cortisol. When cortisol is chronically elevated, it isn't a lifesaver, it's a poison. It wreaks havoc on your entire system. It tells your heart to keep beating faster, your blood pressure to stay high, leading to a massively increased risk of hypertension, heart attack, and stroke. It screams at your body to store energy for the imminent crisis, leading to the accumulation of visceral fat, the most dangerous kind, the fat that wraps around your organs. It cripples your immune system. Ever notice how traders seem to get sick all the time? It's because their body's defenses are constantly suppressed, too busy dealing with the threat on the screen to fight off actual pathogens. The stress of trading is, quite literally, making you sick. It's a slow-motion biological breakdown. But the siege doesn't stop there. It targets your most critical cognitive function, sleep. This is the second item on the invoice, the sleep deprivation epidemic. Ask any full-time trader about their sleep. You will rarely get a simple, "I sleep great." The mind of a trader refuses to shut down. When you lay your head on the pillow, the market is still playing in your head. You're replaying that one trade you missed. You're agonizing over the mistake you made. You're worrying about the position you're holding overnight. What if news breaks? What if the Asian market opens down? So you check your phone. Just one last look at the futures market. It's 3 a.m. You're wide awake, your mind racing, bathed in the blue light of your screen. This isn't a badge of honor. It's not the hustle. It is profound self-sabotage. Sleep is not a luxury. It is a core biological necessity. It's when your brain cleans itself, consolidates memories, and regulates your emotions. When you are sleep-deprived, your cognitive function plummets, your decision-making becomes impaired, your reaction time slows, and most critically for a trader, your emotional regulation disintegrates. Trying to trade on 4 hours of sleep is the neurological equivalent of trying to drive a Formula One car after drinking a bottle of whiskey. You are guaranteeing a crash. You become irritable, impulsive, and hypersensitive to fear and greed. The very parts of your brain required for disciplined execution, the prefrontal cortex, are offline. You are trading from your most primal, emotional, and compromised self. And while your mind and your hormones are at war, the rest of your body is in a state of quiet decay. This is the third item, the sedentary trap. Trading is by its nature one of the most sedentary professions on the planet. You are chained to a desk, your eyes locked on a screen, often for 8 to 10 hours straight. The human body was not designed for this. It was designed to move. When you sit for this long, your metabolism grinds to a halt. Your body's ability to process fats and sugars is impaired. But the most immediate damage is musculoskeletal. The trader's posture becomes a permanent state. A hunched back, rounded shoulders, a forward jutting head. This isn't just cosmetic. It creates chronic neck, shoulder, and back pain that becomes a constant, distracting hum in your daily life. Even more dangerously, this level of immobility massively increases the risk of deep vein thrombosis, or DVT, blood clots forming in your legs, which can be fatal if they travel to your lungs. Your profession is actively, physically trying to kill you, 1 hour of stillness at a time. And finally, we have the fuel you're putting into this collapsing system. This is the fourth item on the invoice, the nutrition afterthought. In the heat of the trading day, with your mind processing gigabytes of information, who has time for a balanced meal? Health becomes an afterthought. Nutrition devolves into whatever is fast. Your diet becomes one of pure, frantic utility. Coffee, lots of coffee. Caffeinated energy drinks to jolt you back to alertness. Sugary snacks, a candy bar, a handful of cookies, for a quick dopamine hit and an energy spike. Processed, sodium-laden fast food delivered to your door because you can't miss the open or need to be at the desk. This diet is rocket fuel for the anxiety you're already feeling. The massive influx of caffeine and sugar sends your blood sugar on a wild roller coaster, creating artificial energy spikes followed by debilitating crashes. You find yourself in a fog just moments after feeling wired. This physiological chaos makes rational, calm decision-making impossible. You are not just fighting the market, you're fighting your own blood chemistry. This is the physical reality, a body flooded with stress hormones, starved of sleep, locked in place, and fueled by caffeine and sugar. And this is the machine you are asking to make high-stakes, perfectly rational financial decisions minute after minute. It is an impossible ask. The physical toll is immense, but it is often just the shadow cast by a deeper, more corrosive war. The war within your own mind. If the market is a physical siege, it is also a psychological battlefield. And on this battlefield, the enemy has all the advantages. The first weapon deployed against you is the very nature of the game: chronic, unending uncertainty. In most professions, there is a clear link between effort and outcome. You study for a test, you get a good grade. You work hard on a project, you get a promotion. The world makes sense. Trading annihilates this compact. You can do everything right: flawless research, perfect execution, patient waiting, and still lose money. You can also do everything wrong: chase a trade, break all your rules, trade on a whim, and be rewarded with a massive winner. This is called random reinforcement, and it is psychologically toxic. It shatters your mind's ability to connect cause and effect. It creates a constant, low-grade hum of anxiety. You are living in a world of pure, unadulterated probability, and your brain, which craves certainty to feel safe, simply cannot cope. This is where the mental breakdown begins. This is the anxiety engine. This engine doesn't just make you feel bad, it dictates your actions. It manifests as the two-headed dragon that slays almost every trader: analysis paralysis and FOMO. Analysis paralysis is not you being too careful. It is your anxiety-ridden brain, so terrified of being wrong, so desperate for certainty in an uncertain world, that it freezes. You see the setup. It ticks every box in your plan, but a voice whispers, What if it's a trap? What if it reverses? You hesitate, and you watch the trade work perfectly without you. The resulting frustration is corrosive. FOMO, the fear of missing out, is the dragon's other head. It's the same anxiety, but expressed as panic. You see a stock or a coin moving explosively. Your careful plan evaporates. Your discipline shatters. A primal, visceral panic takes over. I have to get in. I'm being left behind. You chase. You buy at the top, just as the smart money is quietly selling to you. These aren't just trading mistakes. They are the visible symptoms of a mind drowning in anxiety, desperately trying to find solid ground in a world that offers none. This anxiety is then compounded by the structure of the profession itself. This is the second, and perhaps most dangerous part of the mental war: the isolation chamber. Trading is one of the loneliest jobs in existence. Think about it. A surgeon has a team, a lawyer has a firm, a soldier has a unit. Even a solo professional athlete has a coach, a physio, a team. A trader has a screen. You sit in a room alone, staring at abstract patterns. The decisions are yours and yours alone. The risk is yours, and the consequences, whether euphoric or devastating, are borne by you in total silence. This isolation is a breeding ground for psychological distortion. When you're alone, there is no one to challenge your assumptions. A flawed idea, a bad bias, can spiral into a deeply held conviction with no external friction. There is no colleague to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Are you sure about that? Aren't you just trying to make back your last loss?" This is how accounts blow up, not from one bad trade, but from a series of bad ideas nurtured in an echo chamber of one. The isolation also fundamentally alters how you process emotion. When you take a significant loss, in a healthy environment, you might discuss it. A mentor might normalize it. Tough day, the market was choppy, you stuck to your plan. In isolation, that same loss festers. It becomes a source of deep personal shame. The inner critic becomes the only voice you hear, and it is relentless. You're an idiot. You'll never make it. You just lost money you can't afford to lose. Shame drives you further inward. You project an image of control to the world, while internally you are unraveling. Ironically, winning in isolation is just as dangerous. A huge win is electric, but who do you share it with? Your friends and family don't understand the skill it took. They just see the money. This lack of informed validation leads to a different poison: ego. With no one to keep you grounded, you start to believe you're a genius. You've solved the market. This ego, born from loneliness, is the direct precursor to a catastrophic and humbling loss. Over time, this combination of anxiety and isolation leads to a profound and destabilizing problem. This is the third battle, the identity crisis. When you spend all day, every day, alone with the market, the boundaries begin to blur. Your profession stops being what you do, and it becomes who you are. I am a trader. The moment this shift happens, you are in mortal danger, because if you are a trader, then your daily P&L is no longer a business metric. It is a direct measure of your self-worth. A winning day means you are smart, worthy, and successful. A losing day means you are stupid, worthless, and a failure. This is a burden no human psyche can bear. It turns every trading day into a referendum on your value as a person. Now imagine what this does during a drawdown. A drawdown, a sustained period of losses, is a statistical certainty in trading. It's a normal part of the business. But for the trader whose identity is fused with their P&L, a drawdown is not a business problem. It is an existential crisis. It is not my strategy is underperforming. It is I am a failure. The market is not just taking your money. It is attacking the very core of who you are. This is when the death spiral of revenge trading begins. You are no longer trading to make money. You are trading to prove you are not a failure. You are trading to stop the psychological pain. You are trading to save your own identity. And this leads to the final stage, the inevitable conclusion of this three-front war: burnout. Trading burnout is not a single event. It's not a dramatic flame out. It's a slow, cold decay. It's the exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. It's the profound, gnawing cynicism you start to feel toward the market you once loved. It's the emotional detachment where you no longer feel the thrill of a win or the sting of a loss. You are just numb. It's the loss of your edge. The subtle intuition and focus that defined your success is gone, replaced by a dull fog. You show up at your desk not out of passion, but out of a joyless, mechanical habit. The physical siege and the mental war have finally taken their toll. The invoice is due, and your mind and body are bankrupt. Do you see the trap? The physical and the mental are not two separate wars. They are one and the same, feeding each other in a terrifying, self-perpetuating loop. It works like this. The stress of trading, the chronic uncertainty, floods you with cortisol. That cortisol keeps you awake at night. You get poor sleep. That lack of sleep devastates your emotional regulation and cognitive function. Your brain, now running on fumes, is far more susceptible to the anxiety of the market. Your ability to resist FOMO and analysis paralysis disappears. So, you make poor decisions. You chase, you hesitate, you break your rules. This leads, inevitably, to more losses. Those losses create even more stress and shame. This in turn floods you with even more cortisol, which makes it even harder to sleep that night. Your body and mind spiral downward together. Your poor physical health destroys your mental game. Your poor mental game destroys your physical health. This is the vortex that pulls 90% of traders under. We must compare this to any other high-performance field. A professional athlete would never dream of competing on 3 hours of sleep, a diet of energy drinks, and zero physical training. They know their body is their instrument. A single-digit percentage drop in physical readiness means the difference between winning and losing. A fighter pilot is subject to rigid controls on their health. Their sleep, their diet, their mental state are all tracked because a compromised pilot is a liability to himself and everyone around him. Only in trading do we have this bizarre cowboy mentality, this idea that we can subject our bodies and minds to relentless, extreme abuse and still expect to perform at an elite level, competing against the sharpest minds and fastest algorithms in the world. It is pure delusion, and it has to stop. If you are to survive, if you are to build a career and not just have a short, explosive flameout, you must break this loop. You must declare a ceasefire. You must begin to treat your health not as an afterthought, but as your primary, non-negotiable asset. We have walked through the darkness. Now, let's turn on the lights. Acknowledging these costs is the first, most critical step. The second is building a fortress to protect yourself. This is the antidote. This is the framework for a sustainable, long-term career. It is not complex, but it is non-negotiable. It starts with your physiology. You must reclaim your body. Your first rule is to move. Your body is not a static object. You must schedule physical exercise. It is not a luxury. It is not optional. It is the most powerful antidepressant and anti-anxiety tool you possess. Lifting weights, running, even a simple 30-minute walk. This is how you process and flush the cortisol from your system. You are, quite literally, walking off the stress of the trading day. Your second rule is sleep hygiene. You must treat your sleep as a sacred, critical part of your job. This means an off switch. There is zero justification for checking charts in bed. Your bedroom must be a sanctuary, not a satellite office. All screens must be off at least 1 hour before you intend to sleep. The blue light is wrecking your melatonin production. Read a physical book, meditate, decompress. A trader who sleeps 8 hours will destroy a trader who sleeps 4 every single time. Your third rule is fuel. Your brain is a high-performance engine. It demands high-performance fuel. Hydration is key. Most fatigue is just dehydration. And your diet, whole foods, protein, complex carbs, must be designed for sustained energy, not a quick spike and crash. Next, you must fortify your mind. The most powerful tool here is mindfulness or meditation. This isn't a new age fad. It is a core training component for high performers everywhere. 10 minutes a day of focused breathing trains your brain to do one simple magic thing: to observe your thoughts and emotions without being controlled by them. You learn to see fear arise and simply note, "Ah, there is fear," rather than becoming the fear. You create a tiny space between the market stimulus and your response. In that space lies your entire career. The second tool is an emotional journal. Don't just log your trades, log your feelings. I felt anxious on this trade. I felt greedy here. I was bored, so I put on a stupid trade. By writing it down, you externalize it. You move it from the chaotic, emotional part of your brain to the analytical, rational part. You see your own patterns, and what you can see, you can change. And perhaps the most important step, seek professional help. In the high testosterone world of finance, there is a stigma that seeing a therapist or a performance coach is a sign of weakness. This is a catastrophic legacy media misconception. It is the ultimate sign of strength. It is the act of a professional who is optimizing their tools. You're paying an expert to help you untangle the mental knots holding you back. It is the highest return investment you will ever make. Finally, you must build boundaries and the off switch. The isolation chamber is a choice. You must deliberately break it. Find a small, curated group of serious traders, a mastermind, not a noisy Discord room, a place to discuss process and psychology, not just to brag about wins. And most importantly, you must have a life. You must have an identity outside the market. Trading is what you do, it is not who you are. Schedule non-negotiable time for hobbies, for family, for friends, time where you are not a trader. Go build something with your hands, play a musical instrument, go for a hike. The more you build a rich, fulfilling, three-dimensional life outside the market, the less power any single trade or any single trading day will have over you. This is your defense. A body that is strong, a mind that is centered, and a life that is whole. The trading industry sells a dream of a P&L that only goes up. But we now know the truth. We know about the other P&L, the one that tracks your health, your peace of mind, your relationships, and your time. You can choose to chase the market at all costs, burning yourself out in a short, spectacular, and forgotten blaze of glory. Or you can choose to be a professional. A professional understands the costs. A professional respects their instrument. A professional knows that the only way to win a marathon is to protect your own ability to run. Your real bottom line is not the number in your account at the end of the day. It is the person you are when you finally step away from the screen. Is that person healthy? Are they present? Are they at peace? Protect your health as your most valuable, non-negotiable asset. Because a profitable career is, by definition, a long one. And you cannot have a long career if your body and mind are the first casualties of the war.
Now, I want to hand this conversation over to you. We've talked a lot about the costs. In the comments below, share the single biggest price you've personally paid on your trading journey. Is it the lack of sleep? The crippling anxiety? The physical toll? By sharing our stories, we break the cycle of isolation that we talked about. We prove that you are not in this alone. I will be reading every single comment. Thank you for watching.